Welcome to the Imagine Exposure Vodcast. This is the podcast where what we try to do is we want to reverse engineer different professions. We want to consult a group of diverse and dynamic professionals. I try to jokingly say from astronaut to zoologist to be able to sit down with folks and just see what is their story, specifically for the next generation. So we have a leader, actually from Oxford that I live in right now, Gary Robertson. And, Gary is prolific in a lot of different ways, and I'm just so happy that you joined us. How you doing today, Gary?
Man, I'm great, man. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, our first question off the gate is, who are you and how would you define yourself?
Oh, I love this question. I would say first of all, I'm a child of God. That's the ultimate thing that defines me. But beyond that, some of the things that God gifted me with is the love and passion for entrepreneurship, and creating and developing new businesses. I also have a passion for family. And my family household. I'm very into history and family history and that type of thing. Also the wellness of my body, and staying in shape and things like that. And I also have a passion for giving to others more than myself. So I would say those are the things that truly define who I am.
And one thing I do want to note for those who are watching, so we did not coordinate our backdrop. It just happened. It's really cool. And one of the big things about Great Chipotle, we just want to kind of I would like to hopefully give away a lot of great insights. And so this backdrop and other backdrops, you can find like a program called Canva. This was like a dollar sort of thing, but it's a cool way to, wherever you may be, to kind of set the tone for your Zoom meeting. But this is just kind of happening. So Gary, what is your story as it pertains to working?
Well, this business, I'm a small business consultant. And as a small business consultant, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily something that you set out to be. It's something that happens as a result of other things. So I have been an entrepreneur for decades. And because of it, and because of my experience as an entrepreneur, that's the thing that makes me a good small business consultant, because I've been there and done that. So fortunately, but unfortunately, being a small business consultant is really the result of other experiences you've had in the business world. There are other people who are in our network. I'm in a network across the state of South Carolina, and I'm actually a business consultant that's tied to the Small Business Administration, which is a part of the federal government. So there are business consultants all around the country, but pretty much most of the consultants that do what I do either were self-employed entrepreneurs or themselves, or they came out of corporate America, where they did some type of function that put them in a world where they knew a lot about what it took to run a business. So it's either one of those two tracks is how you end up becoming a business consultant.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about yourself?
Okay, so in this particular role, now there are different types of business consultants, but as a part of what's called the Small Business Development Center, the biggest misconception I would say is that we actually do work. So I hate to say that, but consultants in our capacity, we just give advice. We don't actually do any work, hands-on work with our clients. Now, there are lots of small business consultants in the outside world where they actually do work, where they may do accounting or they may do marketing or something like that. So a lot of those people actually do hands-on work. And I would say one other misconception is just because a person is in business does not mean that they know everything about running a business. So they may know how to make widgets or make whatever product they make, but they may not know how to do accounting. They may not know how to do marketing and other things like that. And just because somebody knows accounting doesn't mean that they know how to do marketing. So the misconception is just because a person is in business is that they know everything about business, and that's not true.
Let's go to the next one. We talked about what was the biggest misconception. What would you say is one thing that you love? We'll get to love in a second. But who are the people in your vocational story which you're the most grateful?
Oh, say that one more time.
Who are the people in your vocational story in which you are most grateful?
That I'm most grateful for? Wow, good question. Oh, I would say I've had a number of really good mentors over the course of my years being in business. And some of my best mentors definitely have been people who are older than me and had more experience in various things, but they definitely gave me a serious understanding of the strategy that it takes to be a part of the business world. So it's not something that you're going to get in some type of, you're not going to get it in a book. You're not going to get it in a classroom. It's something that you need a mentor. You need people who can teach you about the various strategies in thinking business-wise.
How did your I love that. This is our reverse engineering question. Sometimes some of our guests will engage this question and they think back on who they were as a kid, who they were as a child, and how that connects to who they are now as an adult. And so our next question is, how did your childhood passion prepare you for your adult career?
Okay. Well, how did my childhood passions prepare me for this? I would say okay, so I'm gonna start with my dad. My dad is definitely a traditional kind of father. My father was a great dad, taught me a lot about living. And one of the things that my dad taught me was to be entrepreneurial when I was a little kid. Not only that, he also taught me about my African and my African American heritage. So as a little kid, my mom and dad gave me history cards where I had to learn about Benjamin Banneker, Phyllis Wheatley. I had to learn about Frederick Douglass, Mary McLeod Bethune. So they started me off with a knowledge of myself in terms of the people that I came from. But and then on top of that, my mom was the family historian. So from an early age, I knew where my family originated from because my mom was the one doing the family history. But then on top of that, my dad taught me about entrepreneurship, and he taught me the hard way. He basically said, I'm not paying for your clothes and the things that you want. If you want to make money so that you can buy the clothes you want and the shoes you want to wear, then here's a lawnmower, you go cut some grass. And so ever since I was in sixth grade, I made my own money. My parents, by eighth grade, my parents had completely stopped buying me clothes and shoes, and I was buying all those things on my own. So my parents taught me to be very industrious, to make my own money, and to kind of control my own future. And so between those two things, I would say those are the things that truly prepared me to be an entrepreneur and to be a good consultant and to help the people I serve.
So this is some find this to be a tough question. I know your words, I know you got this one. How do you explain what you do as a professional in one sentence? Then how do you explain what you do as a professional in one word?
Oh wow. The one word is servant. that's definitely the one word. To explain it in a one sentence, I assist people in starting and managing their businesses.
Well, and that leads into our next question. What do you love the most about your job?
Oh, wow. I love introducing people to information they didn't know before. There's so much to know about running a business. When people first get started in business, they think that it's very simple, straightforward. They may have a passion for whatever it is that they make or do, and they just think that it's really simple. But it's not until they come and sit down in front of a business consultant like myself where they begin to understand that business is not as easy as it looks. And that's not to make it so that it's hard for the person, but what I really love is seeing the light bulb go off, to see people really take a hold of the new information that they have and to use it and grow their business and what they're doing with the information that I'm giving them. One thing that I've learned as part of this business is that there's a great deal of information about business, about entrepreneurship, about money. It's all out on the internet. In this day and time, it's free access. You can find it. It's on the internet, but nobody tells you that it's there. No one says this is where you need to go find this out, or whether they don't even tell you you need to know that information. So for me, I absolutely love sharing new information with my clients and showing them how this could change their lives with what I'm teaching them. So that part just sets me on fire.
What is the biggest challenge you're working?
Ooh, biggest challenge. Sometimes the misconceptions that people have about things are so big that they can't get over them. And what I mean by that is, although I can tell them the information I have and I can try to show them where it is, sometimes people still have a hard time believing and following what I'm sharing with them. And so I may share with them how to get themselves out of a particular situation, but then they'll go back and do the same thing that they did before. So so the frustration I have is, it's like with anything when you're dealing with people and relationships, is that although you may share information, does not mean that the other person on the other side is going to take, believe, and utilize what you teach them. And sometimes you have to be able to impart the information and then let it go and understand that they may or may not get it.
What steps must a person go through to become certified or respected in your profession?
Excellent. Well, with entrepreneurship, it really is there are two different systems. One is the system of hard knocks, go out and learn it by doing, or you go out and get the academic understanding of it. You can do both, okay, but ultimately you're going to come back to the practical. You have to go through the school of hard knocks. When it comes to entrepreneurship and being a business consultant, academic knowledge is not going to be the end all be all. It definitely helps, and it definitely will teach you how to fish versus someone giving you a fish, because you learn how to research, you learn how to find things, you learn how to systematically think about various things. But at the end of the day, you have to go out and practically do it. So the best thing I would say is go out, start a business, run it from the beginning, and utilize as much academic knowledge that you have in doing that business. And ultimately you will become a great consultant, but you cannot beat doing it. You cannot get around it. An academic experience won't help you be a better consultant. Not alone.
Okay, no. That's great wisdom, and I like it. How does a person negotiate salary? How do they negotiate their value in this career field? The reason why how this got birth, I remember specifically in our community, I had some friends who were in positions of leadership and hiring, and one of the things that was often communicated was, hey, you know, background. One of the things that they have observed was in that hire, that wasn't a part of the culture that we pass on. how do we talk about negotiation for your particular business, but for just in general, what are some good principles in negotiation?
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, and this kind of goes back. I kind of need to go back to your previous question so I can answer this one, because the experience is one thing, but when you have an experience, you don't have credentials. Okay, credentials is some way of someone quantifying, in a sort of speaking, being able to say that you actually know what you know. So when you run a business, you constantly have to collect the information to basically say, yes, I did this, and yes, I know what I'm talking about. So just because you run a business, if no one knows that you are successful financially, then it doesn't mean anything just because you ran a business. So you need to be able to document your success so that people know that you know what you know. Okay, so one way of doing that is through taxes. As you do your business and you file taxes, then as you file taxes, it shows that you made a profit, and that is an official document that says that you made money. Okay, but in addition to that, there are certain parts of the business world where you can get what they call credentials. It's sort of like having a degree. And a degree is a type of credential, but you can also get certified in certain things. So as an accountant, you can become an enrolled agent with the IRS, which says that you are an expert in taxes. If you do inventory for a manufacturing company, you can get what they call a Six Sigma certification, which means that you know about logistics and how to move things from manufacturing to distribution to the actual general public. So there are certifications that you can get outside of just getting degrees that can help with your value. Now, going to get back to your real question, how do you negotiate your value? The more knowledge you have in terms of certification and degrees, along with your practical experience of running a business, when you put those things together, that's what really adds up to your value. And what I would tell you to do is always keep. You may want to keep your resume out on websites like LinkedIn, where people are looking to hire people, because what you want to do is periodically you want to test the market to see what they're willing to give for your services. So by keeping yourself out on the open market so that people can hire you, then you'll start seeing what people are willing to pay you for your knowledge. And not only that, that also puts pressure on the people you work for, because at the end of the day, if they're not offering you what your value is worth, there's always somebody who's willing to pay you more somewhere else. Now, I'm not a fan of jumping around from business to business, but when you find your value for what you think you're worth, and tie that to your purpose, then you may find that place where you need to stay in a particular place. And I'll leave you with one other thought on this. So in some areas, you may not be able to get the same amount of money. So an executive director in Orangeburg, in comparison to the executive director in Atlanta, there's going to be a huge difference in the type of money that a person can make. So why would you stay in Orangeburg versus going to Atlanta? It may be because life has given you a purpose and reasons for you to be in Orangeburg. So there's not enough money per se for me, there's not enough money in Atlanta necessarily to make me want to move there. They would have to pay me a whole lot of money to make me want to leave Orangeburg, because I have purpose here. So my passion and purpose also has a value, and that's the reason why it would cost them more to get me away from here. So you basically determine your value based upon what you want, and then you see who's willing to pay you what you're worth.
Phenomenal. This is phenomenal advice, and make sure at the end of the episode, Garrett can give you contact information. We'll have ways to get in contact with him. I'm sure people are listening to this and they're saying, "Man, I would like to get wisdom and insight as it pertains to a vocational journey." Let's go on to our next question. All right, so this is our time machine question. Based on what you now know about your vocation, What advice would you give yourself on the first day of the job? You go back to the first day of the job to the time machine. What would you tell yourself?
Ooh, wow. Okay, I'm gonna take a little different spin on your. I always
Okay.
go
Okay.
before I got this job.
All right.
What I would say is I would run a whole lot faster in my own business before taking this job. So, although I'm quite happy with where I am personally now, there are some things that I wish I had done in my own business before I came into this one. So that's one way of looking at it. But if I had to go back to just when I got hired, I probably wouldn't do very much differently. I really feel like, and especially in this current situation that I'm in, I truly believe that God put me where I needed to be when I needed to be here. And so I think it couldn't have happened any better than it has thus far.
This is our in-game question. How do you prepare to one day transition to the world? What does that look like? What does preparation look like for a professional? Your shoes, the transitioning from the job to right now.
Okay, so for me to transition from this to another job or into
Or what? Yeah, wherever the in game, just kind of giving kids a thought process, thinking of just the end in mind, kind of cozy kind of perspective. Is like how do we have a vision for not this year but 10 years from now, 10 years from now? You know, that's
Okay, very good question. What I would say is number one, and this is true no matter when you come into whatever job you have, always have a plan B and C if you can. Okay, so for me, I'm still a business owner. I have a business outside of my job, and it's important that I have that business outside of my job. In addition to that, I do know that I have a value in terms of me being able to get a job somewhere else. I would be able to leave here and go and get a job anywhere else if I had to. Now, there's a very good reason for having plan A and plan A, B, and C. Okay. You don't ever want to be beholden to a job. That's slavery. It's the exact same thing as slavery. Okay. So if you have to have that job and you have no other options, then when something happens at that job, you may be willing to compromise your values, your morals, simply so that you can hold on to that job. But if you have a plan B and a plan C, then you don't have to accept just what anybody offers you. You don't have to accept any type of treatment on a job or from anyone. So it gives you the freedom to be able to do and to say what you need to do and say, as long as you have those backup plans. But when you don't have a backup plan, then you start to in a spiritual language, so to speak, you begin to fall in love with what you have and don't want to let go and don't want to lose that thing that is the only thing that you have. So make sure that you have options so that you can transition yourself to something else if you need a B. But the biggest thing is have a business, have multiple streams of income. And what I mean by that is have your job, okay, but have a business on the side, own real estate, have investments. So have multiple ways in which you can make money. So the options are open to you to do whatever it is that you want to do when you get ready to leave your job. So you just need to make a plan for whatever you want to do next and put it in place and make it happen.
and I feel like this next question you have already kind of touched it in a lot of different ways. But I really like the concept of having each guest just do a quick countdown. A countdown, 3 steps, 2 steps. I understand it's going to be way more than 3 or 5 or whatever. But it's a kind of cool way to sync up a lot of people with your knowledge and with your expertise. And there's even a way like Pinterest, like you think of the Pinterest boards, those 7 steps, that sort of thing. I thought it'd be really cool if all of our guests had one kind of lined up with that. So what would you say would be your I call it the cultivate countdown, but Gary's 5 steps, 6 steps to be a better business consultant? What does that look like?
Ooh, wow. Step one would be to master various areas of business, one area at a time. So master accounting. So take the time in your business, focus in on accounting. Maybe you work with other people so that you can master that one thing. Then master human resources, then master marketing, and take the time to master all of the disciplines that make up running a business. And then you'll be better prepared to run your own business, as well as to be able to consult with other people. So the broader your base of understanding of how to run a business, the more valuable you are as a consultant. So step one would be to basically master the various areas of business. Number two, network like crazy. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is the people you got to get outside of yourself. You can't be a person in a bubble. If you're going to be a servant and help people, be it a teacher, be it a pastor or anything like that, when you're in a type of business or a type of profession where you are constantly helping people, then your network of people is important. Because number one, those are the people who are going to need your help. But not only that, sometimes you need to refer people to someone else who can do something else. So you need to have a network where you can refer people to other people who have other expertise that you don't have. And having that network is just, I cannot explain to you how important that is. So one, you want to master the different disciplines of a business. Number two, you want to create a network, a reliable network that you can utilize whenever you need it. And then three, you want to be financially in a good place yourself. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are saving money, investing your money, and having all of your financial ducks in a row. Those things are important to have. And then, and this is not lastly, and this probably should be listed first, but you need to have a solid moral background. When you get into business, you will develop a sense of power. Okay. And the reason being is because of your knowledge, because of your value. If you have a business and you're successful at it and you have money because you've done well in your business, you will start to feel yourself. You will start to develop this sense of, I've done it, that I've made it, that I am somebody. You don't want that to get out of control. Okay. You want to be a humble servant helping other people. So what you can't do is let yourself be the thing that guides you. Don't let your own emotions get out of control. Don't let your own ego get out of control. Your selfishness to want things and collect things. It's very easy in this type of business and in this type of world for your morals to get out of line fairly quickly. So definitely, I would definitely suggest, number one, know God. Number two, develop a mastery of your craft and what you know how to do. And number three, develop a strong network of people and relationships that you can depend on.
All right. And it's going so quickly. We are at our last question. Last question, our last statement. If you could just end the podcast with one quote, one thing that you would want the listeners, the viewers, to take with them that speaks to you, what would you say is the quote?
Ooh, wow! This question is one that I don't know if I could definitely give a quote that's directly tied to my my vocation. I think my quote is a broader quote. It's tied to it. So I'll say the quote and then we address it. Love others regardless of themselves. Love others regardless of what they do, say, and think. Okay, that's a very broad quote. Love others regardless of what they do, say, and think. Now, the reason why I tell you that is because if you can do that, then what you're doing is basically you are doing and being who you are because you're passionate about who you are. You're passionate about what you're doing. And it really has nothing to do with what other people think or feel about it. You're going to do it anyway because it is who you are. Okay. When you start getting into whether or not you're going to provide services for one person, but won't provide services for someone else, then you're not doing it because you love what you're doing, and you're losing yourself because you're not doing it because it's you. You're doing it based upon what somebody else thinks or what somebody else says or does. So let that not be the thing that drives you in life, period, regardless of what you decide to do. Let your love and your passion for your craft and who you are and your God, let those things be the thing that guide you, instead of it being how people respond to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. I know our viewers and listeners are going to get so much wisdom from the words spoken. If you could just end the podcast with giving us your handles, giving us ways that we can get in contact with you, and to connect with you on this.
Oh, excellent. Yes. One, I have a website. It's Gary Isms, GaryIsms, GaryIsms.net. So that's my primary website. That's where you can find out more about me. And it's the easiest place to find all the other ways of getting in contact with me. My telephone number for business, 803-250-5844. And if you want to send me an email, my email is grobbins, ROBINS, the number 3, at scsu.edu. Those are the easiest places to catch me. From there, you can connect with me on Facebook, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms. So I would say the main place, definitely get in contact with me on my website at GaryIsms.net.
Gary, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you for this time. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.